Howdy, welcome to another Trash Take. Today, we're going to be watching Donald Trump speaking at the Charlie Kirk Memorial. Now, this happened yesterday. I've seen some clips online of some things Trump say, mainly about autism and how he's cracking down on streamers, but I wanted to first see what he has to say and then kind of just react to it, see where he's going from here. This is Charlie Kirk's Memorial, but this is also Donald Trump. If you haven't seen any Trump speeches, at some point, he'll just start freeballing. He'll go completely off script, and he'll talk for as long as he wants. That's just what he does. He's always done that. No one can stop him. You give that man a teleprompter, he'll forget how to read, and he'll just keep going off the top of his head. But I did want to see what he had to say for Charlie, because him and Charlie had peers gotten really close during the last presidential election cycle, and Charlie Kirk was part of the strong reason I'd say Trump probably got elected. Kirk did a lot of groundwork on the college campuses to try to change the young voters in Republicans' favor for Trump. And Trump won the election, so you could probably find a connection, a correlation between that and Kirk. But without further ado, let's see it.
You've been there from the beginning with us, Lee, and we appreciate it. Nobody can sing that song like Lee Greenwood. Thank you very much, Lee, very much for being here.
Like always, I'm turning the speed up on this thing. I just don't have enough time.
And his voice has not changed, you know? Pretty amazing. And
I do want to preface, before he came on stage, Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's wife, came out and said, "I forgive the killer," or something along those lines. I've seen a clip going around of Trump like, yeah, fuck that, so.
Special thank you to Erica, because today, America is a nation in grief, a nation in shock, and a nation in mourning. Less than 2 weeks ago, our country was robbed of one of the brightest lights of our times, a giant of his generation, and above all, a devoted husband, father, son, Christian, and patriot.
Yeah, it's crazy. You have George Floyd die, the Democrats champion, and they burn cities to the ground. There's riots, there's assaults, there's so much property damage, it's crazy. You have Charlie Kirk die, and I've only seen 2 videos of people getting assaulted because they are purposely harassing people during different vigils that were being held. So, I mean, it's a 90-day difference between Democrats and Republicans. So,
Charles James Kirk was heinously murdered by a radicalized, cold-blooded monster.
That's Trump just flexing his knowledge that he knows Kirk's middle name.
For speaking the truth that was in his heart. He was violently killed because he spoke for freedom and justice.
He was assassinated because his words were absolutely affecting the youth and changing the young votes to Republicans. There was a massive inflection of young voters that were turning Republican, and Kirk was a prominent figurehead because he was able to articulately lay out all of his arguments and show people the people that are loudly screaming are a minority and they don't even know what they want. They're just screaming. And that's what he did. He was a figurehead for that reason exactly. Without Kirk laying the without Kirk there, I don't think Trump would have won this election. I'm going to be honest. Kirk was a warrior in this election. I had seen a bunch of his clips on TikTok. I kind of knew a general idea of who he was, but I never actually watched any of his shit because I understood that, oh, he's talking to college kids, and I've been on a college campus, and we had retarded communists on my campus, and believe me, they were fucking retarded. They couldn't tell you why they believed anything. They just wanted everything for free and would cry like children when they didn't get it. They were also in like liberal arts majors, and they would complain that they're not going to have a job when they get out of college because they went to school for like fucking origami or like fucking horticulture or some random shit that doesn't have a job field that doesn't pay worth their degree, and they're already in college complaining and saying all college should be free. Instead of going for an actual major that would pay it, they decided that, oh, I'm in college, I've racked up a lot of debt, and now I want the community to pay for it. And I'm just like, so you're just retarded. And those were the kind of communists I'd dealt with on my college. Thanks and gig 'em.
For God, country, for reason, and for common sense. He was assassinated because he lived bravely, he led boldly.
He was assassinated because they could not beat him in the free market of ideas. I've said this plenty of times. The reason Charlie Kirk was killed was because a leftist saw too many out of context TikToks and thought this man was full of hate and fascist and there's nothing I could do to stop him. And yes, he was a leftist. And
he argued brilliantly, without apology. He did what was right for our nation.
He would engage anyone in open, free debate, and he would not just instantly mock them. He would give them a chance to see whether or not they're actually going to want to engage or if they're here to scream like a crazy person. And even if they're screaming like a crazy person, he could still talk circles around them because he'd expose them for not really having any ideas. Because it's not that hard to do. You can do basic logical fallacy checks on someone. If they just immediately start going, no, 2 + 2 is 4, no, it can be 5, it can identify as a 5, then it's pretty fucking clear you're talking with someone who doesn't want to talk to you, but is merely using your time to scream like a fucking retard. And the best thing you do is make fun of them and try to find someone who is willing to have a conversation.
And so on that terrible day, September 10th, 2025, our greatest evangelist for American liberty became immortal. He's a martyr now for American freedom.
Yeah, it reminds me of that one crazy girl who was like giddy and laughing when Kirk died and said he'll never be a martyr. He isn't important enough. Teehee, that fucking retard. Yeah, she ate her words. This was a stadium of like, I want to say it was 60,000 plus people. And this brought Trump and Elon Musk together for now. It seems like America, at least the Republicans, have a lot more momentum and motion right now in politics. Because Democrats are showing themselves to be absolute fucking feral monsters at the moment on the internet. You had CNN yesterday having Jasmine Crockett, the retard from Dallas. She was on there talking about how hateful Kirk is, posting out of context clips and talking about out of context clips, calling him racist, and CNN just letting it go for free. Like, they purposely have Democrats on there that are showing themselves to be so incompetent, but they're not stopping it. They're making a massive blunder, and it's good for everyone else because logical people will be able to see, wait, this lady on CNN is saying this guy is so hateful and stupid, yet she is on there making fun of him at his memorial saying he deserved to die. That doesn't seem like someone that's a good person. That doesn't seem like something they would do. It's a basic logical fallacy that CNN's been doing, that they've been failing the logic check for years, and they're only going to get worse.
I know I speak for everyone here today when I say that none of us will ever forget Charlie Kirk, and neither now will history.
I'm going to be honest. He had the potential to be a president. He had the potential. He had a strong potential. He was articulate. He was smart. He was quick. He was able to respond to anyone, break down their arguments. He had the connections as well. He was doing more to build his career, I'd say, or foster the career of people on college campuses. But I don't think he could have been president for a few years. Isn't there an age limit? Isn't it like 35 and he was 32? He still had like 3 or so years to go. I wouldn't have been surprised, to be honest, the way it was currently going before he died. I wouldn't have been surprised if the next presidency that Republicans put forward was J.D. Vance and Charlie Kirk as vice president. That's what I was fully expecting. And I think Democrats will probably do some combination of Newsom and AOC, but that's just me guessing.
Because while Charlie has been reunited with his creator in heaven, his voice on earth will echo through the generations, and his name will live forever in the eternal chronicle of America's greatest patriots. He will live forever. To Charlie's incredible and beautiful widow, Erica, we know the weight of this monumental loss is almost unbearable. But even in the midst of heartache and pain too great to even fathom, you have somehow found the strength and deep faith to be a comfort to millions and millions of people. And thank you very much, Erica. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Turning Point USA could have shut down. This could have killed them. Instead, they're using this to further their political goal to get these communists out of our campuses, these absolute radicals who want race theory to be taught because they are racist. They want DEI. They want segregation. They want everything that you could possibly imagine is wrong with people is coming from on college campuses right now. Teachers all over that have infected them, that are trying to corrupt the next generation. You have teachers at A&M too, the crazy one that's trying to teach their kids to ignore the presidential order and teach sexual material to minors, which is grooming in Texas, without the parents' consent because she's demanding it's critical for their education. A teacher's arbitrarily deciding, you know what, I'm not going to do what's legal, I'm going to do what I want. This is the kind of crazy shit you have from these radical leftists. They don't give a fuck about what you have to say. They're going to do what they want to do anyways. And they're all over college campuses. And they're super fucking obvious too. And the fact that they've gotten so far into the system is wild to me.
Much. Today, an entire nation wraps its loving arms around you and beautiful children. We share in your immense and overwhelming sorrow, and we vow that we will do everything we can to ensure that your children grow up in a land where their father is honored and revered.
There's already a football player, I think I put this in one of my previous videos, but there's already a football player that came out and said that he's basically going to pay for Charlie Kirk's children's entire education, no matter what they want to do, which is really noble.
As a great American hero, that's what he is.
Kirk still believed America had a good chance at fixing itself, and that's why he did what he did, and he died believing that.
To Charlie's parents who lost their beloved son, and to the entire Kirk family, we know that no words can ever be enough to fill the void he leaves behind. That's a void that just can't be filled. but I hope the extraordinary outpouring of emotion over these past 11 days has comforted you with the knowledge that your son brought more good and love into this world in his 31 short years than most people, even very, very successful people, can bring in a lifetime.
Kirk was extremely successful for his age. I pale in comparison at what Kirk has achieved. He started a political movement that, like I said, I believe helped the president get elected by a margin. I believe Kirk was part of the deciding factor for him getting elected. At the age of 31 is crazy. 32, 31. He had momentum. That's why leftists had to lie and get him killed.
Charlie Kirk loved America with everything he had. And as we can see so clearly today, America loved Charlie Kirk.
Look at that entire stadium basically packed. The seats that aren't packed are privated box seats. Like I saw Elon Musk, basically they used him as a waiting area where Elon Musk had his own because before Elon and Trump met up, before Trump went on stage. But Elon was sitting in one and a bunch of other high executive people or very important people, I assume, in modern politics. But he filled the stadium.
And he could always draw a big crowd. Look at this today. Look at what's gone on. This is a big crowd. Here today we have the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance. We have the Speaker of the...
Okay, we have Trump doing a roll call. He's going to mention everyone. He's going to say how good they are. Calling it now.
U.S. House of Representatives, Mike Johnson. We have countless members of the United States Senate, and I'm sorry I'm not going to introduce you, but I'll be up here. They're all over the place.
Oh my God, I'm wrong. I'm sorry, Mr. President. I'm sorry.
And likewise, the House of Representatives, they're all over this big stadium. This is not an arena, this is a stadium.
Yeah, I believe they filled this entire stadium, and they had a second stadium nearby for, I guess, a different event, maybe like baseball, maybe a football stadium next to a baseball stadium, and they overflowed into that too and filled it up from what I saw on Twitter. I didn't actually see pictures of the second stadium. This is just what I saw people saying on Twitter, so take it with a grain of salt.
Our great cabinet and this stadium packed with rafters of people, not to mention the one across the street that also has tens of thousands of people.
Okay,
they're
there's
watching
a second.
us on screen right now.
Mr. President, there's been a second stadium.
And I'm sorry we couldn't get you in. If anybody would like to give up your seat, please walk across the street. But this is like an old-time revival, isn't it? An old-time revival.
People were comparing this on Twitter to an Adolf Hitler rally, which is hilarious because of how tolerant these people are and how kind they are and how they're here in memorial of a man who's lost. And they're saying basically Hitler because it's a rally. Politics is so fucking cooked, man. You have people that don't make arguments. They just say Hitler, and then it gets millions of likes on Twitter. Like, it's fucking stupid.
For millions of Americans, especially young people, it is agonizing and unthinkable to say goodbye to a patriot whose heart still had so much to give. It's so much. Raised in the suburbs of Chicago, Charlie was filled with a patriotic spirit from his youth, and he was an all-American in everything he did. And one of the last things he said to me is, please, sir, save Chicago. We're going to do that. We're going to save Chicago from horrible...
I'm about to say, ICE raids have still been going on in Chicago. I made a previous video about it, but there's even more protests where basically these Democrats are showing up to try to earn brownie points for social media clips and are standing in front of a car purposely being an obstruction, which is illegal, and getting themselves thrown on the ground or put in handcuffs, and they start screaming like they didn't do anything wrong because they're retarded and they don't know the law or they don't care. It's for brownie points, honestly. They don't. If they get arrested, it's going to be bailed immediately, and that's even more reason to elect them because they got arrested fighting fascism. You're dealing with grade A retards in Chicago right now. Trump needs to deploy the National Guard there immediately just to quell the crime, and then the people will lose, the Democrats will lose faith, or the voter base will lose faith in the Democrats when Trump shows them they don't have to live like it's a fucking war zone. That needs to happen immediately in all these major cities that are fucking war zones.
Crime. In high school, he was the quarterback of the football team and the captain of the basketball team. He was a good athlete.
Damn.
A lot of people don't know that about Charlie. He was an Eagle Scout who spent his school
Wasn't he like 6'4"? Wasn't he a tall motherfucker?
Lunch breaks listening to another champion for liberty, somebody that he greatly admired, Rush Limbaugh.
I've heard that
But
name. I
what
don't
was
know who
even
that
more
is.
important to Charlie than politics and service was the choice he made in the 5th grade, which he called the most important decision of his life, to become a Christian and a follower of his Savior, Jesus Christ.
5th grade? Damn.
Inspired by faith and his love of freedom, Charlie did something remarkable when he was just 18 years old. On the advice of a mentor who told him to put off going to college because he was doing so well, he devoted his life to converting young people to the conservative cause. How did he do? Take a look. How did he do?
How did he do? Look at where we're here now in memorial to Kirk. I'll be honest, college is one of those, if you're going for a useless degree like basket weaving or liberal arts, you're better off not going. Your degree means jack shit. You can call yourself educated as much as you want, but I've done liberal arts classes when I was in college. That was a fucking joke. It was adult daycare where you'd have people taking notes in 20 different colors, and I'd show up to the exam and it would be like a question that's like true or false, and it's like, America is a country. True? False? And it's like, are we serious? Huh? Like, being an engineer and doing a poli-sci course was also fucking hilarious. My teacher did a good job, but it basically let me understand there is a massive difference in the world from the way that people think, and the people that I was in the class with was entirely different. It was night and day being in a poli-sci class versus being in an engineering class, where I knew if I asked a question, everyone around me is going to be really fucking intelligent and can work it out. Versus if I'm in a poli-sci class, half the people there are going to be playing fucking RuneScape, the other half are going to be drunk. Like, it was fucking hilarious. So much of college seems like adult daycare that is goddamn useless because you can learn all this shit online for the most part. There's a little bit finer points of theory that will be hard to understand, but engineering in college, you're learning that material on your own. Your teacher just maybe introducing you to it and maybe clarifying questions. You will be learning that material on your own, and if you don't, you will fail. I'm sorry. No, it doesn't matter how intelligent you are unless you have an eidetic fucking memory. You have to learn the basics. You have to learn how they connect. And the teachers, no matter how well they put it out, you still have to learn it. Versus like most of these poli-sci and liberal arts classes, just memorization. It's like fucking vocab. Oh, what does this word mean? What does this word mean? What does this word mean? Like, are we serious? This is just like vocab like high school, but you're in college for it? It's like, you don't have to do any derivatives. You don't have to do integrals. You don't have to do fucking facts of life. You don't have to tell me how to do the fucking, you don't have to tell me to calculate delayed prompt neutrons. Like, are we, huh? The peak of my career is learning how to do double integrals and trying to learn how to control nuclear fucking reactors. The peak of your career is maybe knowing the difference between a Democrat and a Republican, or at least knowing the 3 branches of government. Maybe.
In 2012, 2 days after graduating high school, and with just $1,800 in his pocket, the young man from Illinois, who no one had ever heard of, started an organization whose grand ambitions were captured in its name, Turning Point USA. Great name.
It's a good
And
name.
I have a feeling it's going to be bigger and better than ever before. Does that make sense? It's going to be bigger.
Like I said, they had like 30,000 requests for people trying to open new Turning Point chapters at their high schools and colleges when, like the few days after Kirk's death. And they put Erica Kirk as the new CEO, director, whatever. She's in charge of it, basically. So Charlie's wife is now continuing his fight to destroy communism on American campuses. Because that's what this does. Is it exposes these teachers that are absolutely racist when you break their arguments down, and they can't argue against it because at the core, what they argue for is segregation. It's race-based merit. It's not equality. The shit they argue for is basic racism, and that's what's always been so asinine to me. Because it's clear, but no one wants to actually talk about what it does. They want to talk about how beneficial it is. Because that's what racism is. It's benefiting one race over others. Like, motherfucker.
And better than ever before. Look at what's happening. 12 years ago, Charlie walked onto his first college campus, the very liberal University of Wisconsin at Madison.
Wisconsin.
He set up a card table and put up a sign with 3 words, "Big government sucks." Could you believe that? That's Charlie. That
I think the first meme I saw of Charlie was like maybe 2018 or 2019. It's like, debate me, and it just like ask me anything or something. It said feminism sucks, ask me anything, call me wrong. It was like him in a blue shirt by himself. I don't think it said big government sucks, but that's also true. Big government does suck.
Today, Charlie talked to every student who approached him, most of whom were probably quite a bit older than he was. Finally, after...
Yeah, and Destiny, I don't know if y'all know who that is. It's a political streamer. He's been getting hot water recently. Got demonetized on YouTube. I might make a video about him, but he was following the Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA tour. I think it was Unfuck America tour. And I saw like 2 clips of him trying to talk at a college campus, and everyone's just calling him a cuck and a retard and a pedo because he's admitted to some crazy shit. I'm going to make a video on it later, but I just want to bring it up now. It's like in comparison of people trying to follow it in Charlie Kirk's footsteps. And it's not a bad thing. It's just the issue was the individuals. The way Kirk approached every argument was in a way of understanding and to come to commonality. There's not a lot of people that actually do that. They just want to farm Twitter clips. They want to make fun of you. They're not trying to educate you. They're not trying to help you. They're not there for good reasons. They're there to farm Twitter clips or Twitter likes or YouTube videos. That's it. Kirk, it felt different when he spoke. I've seen a lot more of his shit now after he died than when I did when he was alive. And it's a night and day difference in comparison to other people that I see go to college campuses.
In many hours, he found the first ever Turning Point chapter leader. His first year out of high school, Charlie traveled 300 days raising money and taking his message to campuses all over the country.
That's impressive.
He lived out of his parents' basement, and they actually loved having him there. They loved...
Basement dwellers rise up. That's what I'm saying. He's one of the boys.
They loved Charlie. Everybody loved Charlie. And on the couches of friends and supporters, he lived off couches for 2 years, 3 years, then life started getting a little bit different. But he was always the same. For 5 years, he refused to take a paycheck, but day after day, he worked from 5 a.m. in the morning till 11 p.m. in the evening, always. His staff remembers that he wore Walmart jeans and T-shirts from the Goodwill store. Remember the good...
Nothing wrong with that. People that spend a lot of money on clothes, I think, are fucking stupid. I honestly do. Brands mean jack shit. Wear something that keeps you warm or is comfortable. If you're trying to wear it because it's a Gucci brand, you're a fucking consumer. Your brain's rotted. Good luck.
Will store. It wasn't easy, but Charlie wasn't in it for money at all. Never has been. Money was never his thing.
Nope.
He was
That's
always
how it
in
should
for...
be. That's how you find a leader who's actually a leader. Someone who isn't in it for money. And I can bring this back to my college experience again, because when I was in college, we had a lot of kids in our engineering majors who would switch after their freshman year because they'd fail out of all their classes because they're in it for money. At A&M, it was always the petroleum engineers. I thought, I'm doing petroleum engineering. Why? Because I want to get rich. They are almost all of them that I knew. Actually, all of them that I knew after their freshman year swept to business or went to a different major entirely. They got out of the College of Engineering because it required a certain drive in an individual not to do it for money, but to have a desire to learn, to push themselves further, to want to learn more about the world. Those are the individuals that will almost always succeed. Opposed to someone who's, I just want it for money. And at the end of the day, they'll compromise of, I just want it for a little less money. Okay, I want 100K a year, but 80K sounds good. 70K, 69, 68. It's someone that is not, they didn't have a good enough drive. That's what I'm getting at.
The mission. As he liked to say even back then, we have a country to save. Just what he did. He'd call me all the time, sir, we have a country to save. I said, Charlie, thanks very much for telling me that. I appreciate it. Charlie volunteered for my 2016 campaign and traveled the nation with my...
Holy shit, I didn't know he was involved with Trump back in 2016.
...son Don and Eric. I got to know him very well and saw immediately that Charlie was actually a master builder of people. It was Charlie...
He was a leader.
...who first started organizing young black conservatives hungry for support and leadership.
Yeah, despite Jasmine Crockett calling him racist and people spamming out of context civil rights clips, he was not racist. He was a good person. And that's what's so crazy to see these leftists spread these blatant fucking lies with out of context clips because they know their viewers are too fucking stupid to actually fact check a damn thing. And it is sad to see that these people are in the same country as me. Waste of intelligence.
It was Charlie who stood up for persecuted Christians and Jews on college campuses. It was Charlie who helped bring online censorship, free speech, and cancel culture to the fore of our political debate. He was right up there with me. It was
because you had leftists that would cancel you for saying that women can't be men or men can't get pregnant. And that shit was crazy that people would lose their job for it. Versus now, people are like, let's not cancel individuals. What did this guy do? He made a video calling for Kirk to die and said we need more deaths. Guys, let's not use cancel culture. Like, are you fucking serious? If you think these are the same, you are retarded. It's the same action, but the reasoning behind it is entirely different. One of them was logical. The other one's because your feelings might have been hurt. Let's be real. If someone's openly cheering for death, they are a danger to society. Like the dude who shot the ABC news station in California. I'm not going to make an update video to it, but he shot up a news station because he was radicalized on Twitter about all the shit Kirk said, and then Jimmy Kimmel got fired off ABC for his late night show due to spreading blatant propaganda. The FCC chairman agreed, and Disney made a preemptive move to fire him based on conversations where he basically said he's going to double down on it and not apologize, which was propaganda being spread, and Disney said, fuck, we're not going to let that happen. We're a private company. We don't want to be fined. So they fired Kimmel, and this dude went crazy and shot at 3 times at an ABC station in California, and the judge let him post bail for $200,000. But thankfully, Kash Patel actually put on Twitter today that the dude's been picked up for federal crimes, basically, which he should have been. It's a fucking political terrorism. It was an act of political terrorism. What are we doing? This is literally terrorism. Then we put him back on the street, only in fucking California, where a Democrat retarded judge is always going to be to let someone who does not need to be back on the street, back on the fucking street. Dude should have never left jail. He should have stayed in jail with no bail. We have a system in place, and it fails because these judges are too fucking stupid to use their brain to see that this dude who's been talking about maybe we should murder people on Twitter goes and shoots up an ABC news station and doesn't kill anyone that just got lucky about it. Yeah, he sounds like an individual that needs to be released back on the streets. He just committed literal political fucking terrorism. Yeah, he's safe for the streets. Are you fucking kidding me?
Charlie, who helped unite MAGA, and you know what MAHA is? That's right, Make America Healthy Again.
That's Kennedy.
And tomorrow we're going to have one of the biggest announcements, really medically, I think, in the history of our country. We're going to be doing.
Supposedly, there's a direct connection between Tylenol and autism. Pregnant women taking Tylenol and autism. That's apparently what RFK is finding at the CDC. I didn't notice it, but a study got posted Friday, and I was seeing it trending today on Twitter. But it looked like it seemed pretty damning evidence. But people are trying to argue the fact that when women are sick, that can cause neurological issues to the baby because they run a high fever, and they take Tylenol when they're sick because you can't take ibuprofen or Advil due to them causing miscarriage. So people are saying it might be a false positive of them blaming Tylenol when actually the symptom is the women themselves are getting sick while pregnant, and it's the only thing they can take. And them being sick is what's causing the autism. Basically what they're saying is autism's been charged by Tylenol, but I'm already seeing counter arguments. I want to see what RFK actually has to say. I'll probably make a video on it whenever they do have a ceremony or a speech about today.
Doing it with Bobby and Oz and all of the professionals. I think you're going to find it to be amazing.
There's fucking Kash
I think
Patel.
We found an answer
Who the fuck
to
is that
autism.
between?
How about that? Autism tomorrow. We're going to be talking in the Oval.
Yeah, you can tell this is where Trump's gone completely off script. He's now just talking about autism at Charlie Kirk's fucking memorial.
Office in the White House about autism, how it happens, so we won't let it happen anymore, and how to get at least somewhat better when you have it, so that parents can help their child, their beautiful child. That's a big one. I've been bugging everybody over there.
I think this is a good thing. I think it is. I've been really excited for RFK. It's part of the reason why I voted Trump was RFK and Tulsi Gabbard coming over from the Democrat Party to the Republicans, because even they realized, look, the Democrats are too far gone and Trump's more of a moderate now than he is a Republican. He shifted the entire thing more centralized with his ideology. And I know people disagree, and I'm going to have some radical leftists disagree with me, but I need you to understand. RFK was a Democrat. Tulsi was a Democrat. She ran in 2016 on the presidential bid. She went against Kamala Harris, or 2016 or 2020. I might be wrong here. But she owned Kamala on the fucking debate stage. Yeah. I think it was 2020 or 2016. Tulsi Gabbard ran as a Democrat primary. These are Democrats. They came to the Republican side because they realized it's where the common sense is now in America.
There, get the answer to that. You know, 20 years ago, 1 in 10,000 were born with autism.
Now it's like 1 in 30.
The most recent survey says 1 in 12.
Damn.
How bad is that?
And to be fair, and I see people make this point, or they completely miss this point as well, autism is a spectrum. Not like your genders, it's an actual fucking spectrum. You can be little to nothing, and you can be really fucking bad to where you're nonverbal, and you'll never be able to live by yourself. There are a difference, and that's why RFK's trying to heavily hit this, because it's not going to be productive for society or the members of society if you have people that are so autistic they can't even speak. And if it's because something that the mother is taking or a drug that's affecting them and it's 100% preventable, why would we allow it to happen?
That's for young boys, baby boys.
Then you got people like Elon,
but also
hella autistic that are revolutionary too.
Girls, a little bit better. It's about 1 in 20, but we can't because obviously there was something really wrong, and we think we know what that is. I think it's going to be one of the most important news conferences I'll ever have, and I look so forward to it.
I think that comes out today at 4, and right now it's 2:30.
And you know who else looked forward to it? Because he knew. I tell him a little bit about what was going on. Was Charlie. He would have been front row center, believe me. We'll be missing him tomorrow. It was such a big deal for him, too. He brought together Donald Trump, Bobby Kennedy, right here in the great state of Arizona 1 year ago. Remember that? What a night, what a day that was. And it was Charlie who was among the first to speak to me about a man from Ohio by the name of J.D. Vance. Have you ever heard of him? He's doing a good job.
Wait, so Kirk introduced J.D. Vance to the president? That's wild. I had no idea.
But Charlie would often call me, sometimes the night before a big event, the other side of the country. And he'd ask me and say, do you think you could come and speak at the event? The following day, right? I'd say, Charlie, give me a break. I'm the president of the United States. You want me to travel 4 hours by plane? And you know, sometimes I did it. He was a very good guy. He was a very convincing guy. He didn't stop, but he would ask for things like that. Sir, could you be tomorrow in California? I said, Charlie, give me a break, please.
Charlie, no.
He just wouldn't stop, and he succeeded. But I almost always went because you never wanted to let Charlie down. He worked so hard. You just didn't want to let him down. I felt guilty. He'd make me feel very guilty. As president, many people
emotionally blackmail the president for not showing up at your college event. Baller ass move.
People asked me for things, but Charlie was one of the few who always gave more than he took. He was a giver, much more than a taker. And no matter how big Charlie became, no one was too small for him to notice. He was good to everybody. Didn't matter. Several years ago, a fourth grader asked Charlie to appear on his podcast, which was probably only watched by the parents of that fourth grader. And Charlie, who was actually pretty hot at the time, to be honest, he agreed, and the boy asked for advice. Charlie replied, the left. I call it the radical left. I call it sometimes the radical left lunatics. But Charlie didn't say that. He called it the left. He was probably right, but I can't help it. I can't help it.
There is a difference between left and the radical leftist. And when I use the word leftist, I'm normally talking about the extreme people who probably have no hope of coming back to society because they are so mentally deranged and they live so separate from everyone else. They have their own reality. There is a difference.
So he said the left, radical left lunatics, may have all the money in the world, but they can never outwork me. I will wake up as early as I need to about himself. I will stay up as late as I need to, and I will never stop fighting for our country. And he did this until his dying breath. That's what he was doing.
Trump has the momentum right now to pass some really good legislature to get a lot of these campaign promises done, crack down on the border, crack down on the drugs, crack down on the cities. Trump has a lot of momentum right now to get a lot of votes needed to pass bills in Congress, depending on what he's trying to do. And I think he needs to capitalize it. If he lets this energy slip until we get another Epstein debacle, I don't think he's going to be able to do much more for his campaign. Right now, everyone's united, but that took Kirk dying, and it's not going to last forever. And it's sad it took him dying.
Wow. What a horrible moment. I was in the Oval Office when I heard they came in, and it was like a surreal experience, a terrible. I had some very big people in the Oval Office, and I was in the midst of a very important conversation for our country. Big people, the biggest. And
was that with Putin, maybe? I don't know who he would have had in the office.
I said, you have to leave now. When they told me that, they told me in front of a group of very powerful people. I said, you have to leave now, right now, please. Right now. You have to leave. Go. By his own determination and skill, Charlie Kirk built Turning Point from his humble beginnings to beginnings that nobody believed could ever end up something like this, into a great movement and a juggernaut of American politics. And, you know, we have a massive stadium loaded up with people, but he got tremendous crowds before he had this kind of horrible news and before we had to hear what happened so terribly. He delivered more than 250 speeches a year at over 200 colleges and universities, and that was at a time when it was not really vogue to go to colleges and universities if you were a conservative. It really took.
Yeah. Like even at A&M, it was I'd say about 25% of the population. They were leftists. They were open about it. I mean, I didn't really care. I figured they'd grow up once they actually had to get out of college and experience the real world and not live on their parents' dime. But some people never will. Some people never have to. Some people live a nicer life than I can ever possibly imagine because they were born to the right family. And I also find a commonality that most of these people are radical leftists because they've lived such a lofty life. They've never had to work. They've never had to have a goal. They never had to pay rent or maybe miss paying rent or miss eating dinner so they could pay rent. I've had to do that. That's why I always identify myself as libertarian leaning right. There's a lot of social programs in America that need to be fixed, but you also have a lot of people that just don't even care about that and just make demands about what they want without any real solution or ideas because their solutions to make someone else pay for it. And that's not going to be the answer, and it's not going to work.
Great courage. And we used to talk, and I said, I think they're much more conservative than we know, and he agreed, but it just wasn't something that was happening because the radical left would do very bad things, very dangerous things. But Charlie set up chapters on 2002.
I mean, like them burning Teslas, them calling Elon Musk a Nazi, them calling every MAGA racist. It's like the interview. Oh, you voted for Trump? Yeah, you're racist. Oh, how am I racist? Because you voted for Trump. And it's like, did you vote for Biden? Yeah, you're a pedophile. What? You voted for Biden? Yeah. Didn't you see his Ashley Biden? Did you see your journal where she talked about her dad having, or her Joe Biden having inappropriate showers with her? Him sniffing kids when they walk nearby? There's a lot more evidence for that than being racist. That's for damn sure.
200 campuses and spoke at more than 1,000 churches. He launched a podcast and radio show that grew to an audience of 1 million Americans a day, one of the bigger shows on radio. And
I gotta say, like, I didn't watch Kirk's shit because it's politics, and I didn't really care too much to get involved further because politics is already extremely toxic, and most people in politics don't want to have conversations, they want to lecture. So I always thought it was really stupid. I just paid attention to social events, and then I would kind of see how everyone's interpreting it to see if they're being, like, reasonable, if they're just taking in the worst case scenario or being retarded. Like, you have a spectrum. You're always gonna have a spectrum on politics. There'll always be right-wing extremists. There'll always be left-wing extremists. You need to pay attention to what people say, but you also need to know people can change. It also matters how people interpret events. Like I said, Trump getting banned on social media and all the leftists cheering, and now Jimmy Kimmel gets fired by Disney, and all of a sudden it's censorship and the government's tyrannical and freedom of speech is under attack. Like, what are we talking about? These people don't actually give a fuck about it. If they did, they would have been protesting Trump getting banned on social media. That was the president that got censored by a private platform.
Charlie didn't just bring young people into the movement. All of a sudden, it started to grow by leaps and bounds. By 2024, we won more young people than any Republican candidate in the history of our country, including, for the first time, a majority of males under 30. Can you believe it?
Oh, I believe it, because the moment Texas poll stats came out, it showed a bunch of young Mexican men voting for Trump. I saw every leftist I knew on Twitter being openly fucking racist to every Mexican guy humanly possible because they don't really feel empathy. It's, you're in the cult, or if you're not in the cult, we'll call you any racial slur we want. But we're the party of peace, love, and tolerance, and we're not mean. But we'll call you racial slurs all day long when you hate us, or if you do something we don't like. Like, that's the kind of retardation you're dealing with here.
Remember when Republican presidential candidates would get 4%? No, we did unbelievably with young people, and he was a big factor. Unbelievable. But he made me work for it. Sir, you have to make a speech here, you have to make a speech there. But we did it, and we won.
It's like, that's what's required to be president.
Doing unbelievably well now. We had a country that was dead 1 year ago, and now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And Charlie
had Joe Biden on stage calling every MAGA a fascist and wishing the people that get vaccinated a cold winter of death. And now leftists are saying, please tell Trump to turn down the rhetoric. Like, what are we on about? What are we talking about? You guys just shut your brain off for the last 4 years with Biden at the helm, and now you're upset because Trump's saying, you know what, maybe we shouldn't come to the talking table with these radical leftists that want us dead? I'm sorry, that's not an unreasonable statement. These people are openly cheering when you're dying. They're not reasonable.
Helped us make it that. One of the great people. But through it all, the core of Charlie's message and his basic method never changed. It never really changed. He stayed the same person also. At every campus event, Charlie asked the people who disagreed with him to come forward, and instead of silencing them, he handed them a microphone and let them speak.
which is why he was as powerful as he was. He was willing to engage basically anyone in debate. I mean, hell, even, I didn't know it, but apparently Nick Fuentes and a bunch of his gropers would go down there to basically try to bait him into saying racist shit, but he would always navigate around it because he was not racist, and he would not divide it down by race. He wasn't. Even the CNN clips of the Van Jones calling him racist, he said that and said about race because the dude who killed the woman on the train literally made it about race. That's why. Saying this guy's mentally unwell and racist, which he absolutely probably was. He was also extremely mentally unwell.
And he convinced so many of them. It was a pretty amazing thing to watch, actually. Shortly before Charlie arrived on campus, the day he was assassinated, a staff member texted him that there were many critics and students who were opposed to his views and rather strenuously in the crowd.
But that's still good because that means they've heard of him. That means he's an influential enough figure to where people want to come protest him. That still shows momentum. That's motion, baby.
That actually made him feel good because he wanted to convince them. He understood. He really did. He understood what was right. And he was right about it.
Because he actually felt sympathy for his fellow man, so he could see where these people are coming from and would merely try to show them that, look, your logic's flawed because if we take it to the extreme of what you're saying, it's bad at its essence. That is what he showed people. That is what he did.
That a lot of it was based on common sense, by the way.
Thomas Paine's Common Sense. That's a book I'm reading now.
Charlie wrote back to the staff member saying, I'm not here to fight them. I want to know them and love them, and I want to reach them and try and lead them into a great way of life in our country. In that private moment on his dying day, we find everything we need to know about who Charlie Kirk truly was.
He sent a DM to Van Jones, the CNN host who called him racist, and basically said, hey, let's have a conversation and sit down. I think there have been a lot of misunderstandings about what I said. He offered an olive branch to a man saying he's trying to start a race war. That's the kind of person Kirk is. That is the kind of person Kirk is. And Van Jones didn't say anything about it for a fucking week, while every leftist was spewing all the vile shit that they could, playing all the fake TikToks, all the out-of-context bullshit. Van Jones stayed fucking quiet. If that says anything about Jones's character, I think it tells you all you need to know.
A missionary with a noble spirit and a great, great purpose.
Kirk did extremely well to combine his faith and politics, and he always let his faith guide him and came from the humble understandings of we're all equal under the eyes of the Lord, so these are my fellow man created by God, and I can reach them because that's what God intended for all people. That is where Kirk came from, and that is why he was so strong. He had that first. His faith always came first.
He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie.
Yeah, this is the clip going viral. So far, we're 29 or 21 minutes into the president talking, and there's this 10-second clip of everyone on Twitter that's a leftist melting down saying, the president's evil, see? He's hateful!
I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. I am sorry, Erica. But now Erica can talk to me and the whole group, and maybe they can convince me that that's not right, but I can't stand my opponent.
Trump's a vengeful person. He's a petty person. He's more narcissistic than Charlie. You can easily say that. That's why he's hateful. He's not hateful in the way that the left is hateful, where they'll openly cheer and want you dead hateful. He just doesn't want them to win. That's the kind of hate he is, because he's a sore loser. Trump is 100% a sore fucking loser. Well, he ran for president again.
Charlie's angry. Looking down, he's angry at me now. He wasn't interested in demonizing anyone. He was interested in persuading everyone to the ideas and principles he believed were good, right, and true.
Because he practiced his faith and he lived by it. He would not demonize people because he believed everyone was equal and could be saved. That's right. That you're not going to win any friends by demonizing.
True. Before each appearance, he prayed these words, God, use me for your will. Always said the same thing. Use me for your will. And that is exactly what God did. When you think, that's exactly what he did. The more success Charlie had, and he was getting more and more successful, the more dangerous his mission became. On campuses all over the country, his quest for open dialogue was met with menacing hate. There were bomb threats, pulled fire alarms, and
you had the video of the Antifa, which isn't an organization, the Antifa group that showed up on one campus and like shattered the windows and were trying to get the Kirk to fucking beat him to death. Looked like lynch him, basically. That happened on a college campus. That's Antifa, which everyone says, it's not an organization, it's an idea. So you have a bunch of masked people all wearing the same clothes, all showing up for political violence at the same time, accidentally? Are you being genuinely retarded here? That's not how that works. It's clear there's an organization that calls himself Antifa. And yes, anyone can call themselves Antifa. It's not the fucking point.
Countless rage-filled radicals who tried to shout him down. It was nasty. I used to say, Charlie, this is nasty stuff you're doing. At one event, police had to build barricades to protect students from an angry mob of thugs. Many of these people, by the way, are paid a lot of money to do this. They're agitators. They're paid agitators.
A paid agitation meant to start the crowd, to start the fuse. Fuck, even an Assassin's Creed game had this, where you could fucking send people over to Russia to cause disputes, and you had your assassins, and you would send them to Russia to cause disputes, to cause instability, and make money off of it. Like, it's not uncommon. The fact that people just completely dismiss that as being possible is fucking asinine. This isn't anything new. They've been doing it for years. I think they've been doing it since the Cold fucking War in America, at least with our covert ops or our agencies. Like, why is it so hard for people to believe there's people in the crowd here who are paid actors that are going to do everything they can to make other people mad, to get people upset, to incite violence? It's 100% believable.
Remember that?
It's the feds. It's the psyops. So you should always be aware about the people and what's happening around you, because someone might try to bring a gun to incite violence, or someone might give someone else a gun to incite violence.
When you see they all have the same beautifully printed sign, every sign is identical, comes out of a...
Yeah, you have a protest going on, and a dude shows up in the back of a van passing out gas masks. You have a protest coming out, dude shows up in a van and puts cinder blocks on the ground. Yeah, there's a bunch of crazy shit where it's like, they're planning a protest here. Now, there's riot gear that's being given to the crowd. That's crazy. Who's paying for that? A good Samaritan? Fucking really?
Top-level print shop.
Everyone knows leftists
That's
are
not
broke.
the signs that are made in somebody's basement. Those are paid for by very bad people, and hopefully we're going to be finding out through the DOJ who those people are.
My best guess is it's NGOs that are there to spread a political message like Black Lives Matter, where they might actually be doing something to help protesters, but they're also then skimming money off the top to buy themselves mansions in Hollywood. Hell, there was some Black Lives Matter protester that got arrested, or Black Lives Matter organizer in one of the major cities got arrested for embezzlement. She basically was stealing funds, which is what everyone was saying was going to happen. You're giving a blanket check to this organization to do whatever the fuck they want with, who maybe might bail some people out, maybe might try to spread the message, maybe might try to get some reform for these police institutes to give them better training and equip them with better gear. No. They're going to be used for whatever the fuck they want it to, because you didn't look into the organization you donated to.
At another college, Antifa terrorists shattered windows, threw rocks, and tried to storm the building where Charlie was speaking.
Yeah.
It was a really bad one.
Yeah.
Often dozens of police officers were needed to prevent left-wing violence. And the violence.
Yeah, you're allowed to peacefully protest. These people were holding up signs and then start shattering the glass trying to get to Kirk. Like, that's not peacefully protesting. These people are violent. They need to be arrested. But I think it was also in, like, I could be wrong. I think it was either in, like, California or, like, Washington, where there's a bunch of leftist DAs that when these people are arrested, they'll drop charges immediately and they're released. No issues. Like, the DAs purposely do it. They allow these political agitators to go unchecked because they want you to be, and they want you to feel the political intimidation is what they want. That is their goal, and they do it purposely. That's why these DAs everywhere need to be fucking recalled immediately.
Violence comes largely from the left. You don't hear that from too many people, do you?
Yeah, and you also have fake ADL statistics that purposely misquote data or purposely contextualize things out of context, like an Antifa rioter who is clearly a left-winger just saying, I'm a Republican, as they get arrested, and ADL just says, oh, yeah, no, that guy's a right-winger now. Yeah, like, I've seen the data. I know people are making the argument, but let me ask you this. How many people have recently died due to left-wing radical extremism? I can think of 2 senators. I can think of Charlie Kirk. That's not even counting the church retard, because I'm considering them to be so batshit crazy with what they had on their gun, to where they were so far off the scale that they were just mentally crazy. They had killed Trump. They had a bunch of shit written in Russian. They were also transgender. Like, there was so much mentally wrong with them that I'm not considering them either end of the political spectrum anymore.
And virtually every day for years, before he was murdered, Charlie received these horrible death threats. People don't know. I used to talk to him about it. He said, I got some threats.
Do something about it. Send the fucking FBI after these people. What the fuck do you mean you know about it and no one's being arrested? Make this shit public.
I always felt that when they actually made the threat, they were not the ones to worry about. The ones to...
Well, yeah, they shouldn't be to worry about, because they should be in fucking prison for making a death threat. What the fuck are we on about?
Worry about the ones that don't make their threats. And I think you know what I mean. He knew the risk.
You know, I've gotten death threats since I started this YouTube channel. And that was mainly when I covered Hassan. But I've also got a rape threat. I've only ever gotten one rape threat, and that was unique. I got death threats on Twitter all the time. That shit was common. And you just report them and move on. You can report them to the FBI if you want. Nothing really probably will happen, to be realistic. They should be arrested. This should be formally turned over to the FBI for an investigation, for their IP address to be pulled to see if they're an American citizen. If not, they should be permanent banned on the platform. But they should be arrested. But I've never gotten a rape threat until I made a video bad-talking Hassan, which was fucking crazy.
But he and I shared a certain motto: never back down and never ever surrender. Just don't surrender, never back down. He believed in it so.
That's right. We don't negotiate with terrorists, and we damn sure don't negotiate with their hostages. Amen, brother.
Strongly. So strongly. And he's right. He's totally right. The radicals and their allies in the media, sometimes referred to, as my son said, the fake news media, tried to silence
Fake news.
Charlie for a simple reason: because he was winning, and he was winning big. He was taking over college campuses, colleges that had, in theory, only very liberal, or as they like to say, progressive.
I had friends who knew jack shit about politics, but they would see Charlie Kirk TikToks because they were so viral of them making some leftist that's absolutely an unhinged retard and calling them out for them being an unhinged retard. I had friends who had no quorum in politics whatsoever, and they would send me Charlie Kirk TikToks because it was always funny as shit to see these crazy mentally ill people saying that they're the standard of how every person should be, and they're on 20 different medications, and they hate their lives, and they're telling you you're racist because you're white. That's the kind of shit that they would send me, and it was Charlie Kirk that'd be laughing at him the entire time, showing everyone in the crowd why this person's an unhinged retard and does not need to be taken seriously.
I call them liberal, but they like to call themselves, it's such a beautiful word, progressive. They're the opposite of progressive if you think about it. But they progress toward destruction of society. That's all they're progressing toward. They're progressing toward the destruction of society. Really nasty. And he would go into these colleges. All of a sudden, within 2 years, 3 years, they turned into bastions of conservatism. It was really quite amazing to see. They lied about him because they did not want you to listen to him or to learn from him.
There were colleges that would straight up refuse to have Turning Point USA because they said it would be a threat to the students who participated, meaning that they know that their college itself is captured by radicals, and instead of expelling them, they would stop other people having opposing viewpoints to those individuals. That shit's crazy. That's not normal.
Because what he was talking about and even preaching made so much sense. Everywhere he went, he won the debates, he won the hearts, he won the minds, and yes, he won the elections for people. He helped us, he helped other people. We won the biggest.
We had a crazy Christian pastor that would come to A&M, and it was hilarious. Because he would talk about sex and talk about fornication, and if you even look at a woman lustfully, you'll burn in hell. And then some dude screamed, "What if I'm looking at you and it gives me a boner?" And the dude fucking lost it and started screaming. And everyone in the crowd starts fucking laughing too. Shit was funny. We used to have some radical motherfuckers that would just come and preach on campus, and that shit was hilarious. Oh man. Not like what Kirk did, but they were like preaching from the Bible and would always end with, "You're gonna burn in hell."
Biggest election in the history of our country, I believe. Charlie Kirk was without a doubt among the most influential figures in the most important election in the history of our country. The election of, that beautiful day, November 5th, 2024. Do you remember that day? It was 9 months ago. What a day that was.
21st night of September.
I mean, we had a pretty good day in the first one. And I must tell you, on the second one, we had a phenomenal day. But a lot of bad things happened. And now...
And then a month later, you and Elon broke up.
That's not even...
No, technically, y'all got in an argument and then broke up a few months later. Yeah, you broke up this year, not last year. Last year, Elon and Vivek Ramsey debacle in November. Peak politics, boys. Peak politics.
Questioned.
Actually,
they cheated
December.
like dogs, but we got them back, didn't we, huh? Got them back. But we owe Charlie a profound and eternal debt of gratitude now. Just like Charlie and Erica made Turning Point hot, we are looking at a country that has the chance to attain a level like never before. Tariffs are making us rich again, richer than anybody ever thought was possible.
Yeah, but then you completely fucked the H-1B visa shit, promising everyone that the jobs will come first and everyone's got to pay $100K. And then, no, it turns out everyone's not paying $100K. It's only new visas, H-1B visas, and it only happens once a year. And all the ones for this year are done, so it actually affects no one right now. We still had 4chan that was like booking flighting tickets to fuck with the Indians that are desperately trying to get back to America. Because the way the bill was written is if once this activates, if you're outside the country, you have to pay a $100K entry fee to get back. So a bunch of people freaking out over social media over the weekend, which apparently was all false. It's completely 180 from what it originally announced, which sounds like it's a nothing burger now, which I fell for it again. Nothing ever fucking happens.
And the only one challenging them are people that hate our country or foreign countries that are paying a price, because they did the same thing to us for years. They took advantage of us, but we're making money. We're becoming richer and richer, and we're taking care of our people better and better when we do that. And we can take care of other countries better and better, but we're doing unbelievably well. The tariffs have...
We better take care of ourselves first, motherfucker. Don't you start talking about other countries right now, because I know you mean fucking Israel. We're not playing that game.
Really been a hold. The election was big, but the tariffs, because of the election, came in. And remember, other nations do that to us. And Charlie understood that. He saw the money. He saw what was coming into our country, and we can use that for Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, all of these things that we fight so hard for. And that's exactly what's happening. The numbers are incredible. When the news finally came out on election night last November that the race was officially won, came out pretty early in the night. Charlie was...
It did come out pretty early, and it was crazy to see all the swing states go so red immediately. And it was like red mirage, blue wave, or some fucking TikTok mantra of these unhinged leftists that don't know jack shit about politics.
Was live on camera. In that moment, he was overcome with emotion. I've never seen him like this. He was so happy. For a long while, he said nothing. His eyes were filled with tears, and then he buried his face in his hands, and he started crying. That wasn't the Charlie I knew, but in thinking about it, it actually was the Charlie I knew, because he had a tremendous heart. He just wanted what was good for our country, and he saw us going in such a horrible direction. Lovingly,
yeah.
Eric, and this was so beautiful. Erica put a MAGA hat on.
You had one candidate that believed in transgender reassignment surgeries for illegal immigrants being held awaiting disposition for their immigration status, basically whether or not they were going to be deported. Like that's Kamala said she believed that would be okay and that should be allowed. Like, you had some crazy shit coming out of the Kamala fan base. Like, we're talking different entire candidate-wise presidency of what that race was, which was fucking wild. Which I didn't know. Apparently, there's a funny tweet going around. I don't know how real it is, but apparently she reached out to Newsom for an endorsement, and Newsom just like, yeah, I'm hiking right now. I'll get back to you later. And then never replied and never endorsed her.
To cover his bowed head. I like that very much. MAGA, we love. Does everybody love MAGA? Make America great again.
Start passing some legislation, buddy. Start locking down on the crime in these cities. Let's do it, motherfucker. Let's do it. You got 3 years left. You got like 4 or 5 months of this year. Let's get some shit done, please.
When Joe Biden used to get up, remember the speeches? We will stop MAGA. We will stop MAGA. You know, he could barely get the words out. We will stop. I said, can somebody inform him that MAGA means make America great again? How do you say you're going to stop it? And Charlie understood that. When Charlie finally looked up and spoke, he smiled through the watery eyes and simply said, I am humbled by God's grace. That was his statement that night. I was watching him. I was very impressed, actually. It showed he had a big heart. Every single American should take a long, hard look at the twisted soul and dark spirit of anyone who would want to kill a young man as good as Charlie. To kill anybody, but to kill a man like...
Okay, he was just reading on script and then he immediately side noted. Complete 180 to focus more on the teleprompter.
This, he didn't deserve this.
Yeah, there's some like tweet of Elon Musk talking about the dark killed someone from the light or something like that, and he walks away all dramatic like. I think they were asking him why he was there. Because the person that killed Kirk is objectively an evil individual. And I hope they get the death penalty. I hope they get the death penalty.
He didn't deserve
Erica forgave him, but justice still needs to be served.
this. Our country didn't deserve this. And anyone who would make excuses for it are just...
If you don't get the death penalty for a political assassination, the justice system in America is beyond fucked.
Mind. Charlie's murder was not just an attack on one man or one movement. It was an attack on our entire nation. That was a horrible attack on the United States of America. It was an assault on our most sacred liberties and God-given rights. The gun was pointed at him, but the bullet was aimed at all of us. That bullet...
Yeah. Kirk was the average man with conservative views. His most radical view was abortion. That's it. Everything else was basically common sense. That's what's so crazy about this. For the killer to have shot him, to call him a fascist, is fucking crazy. Unhinged, leftist retard, convinced by social media because he's a weak-willed bitch to go kill someone instead of engaging him with an idea or talking with him to try to get to know him on a human level, to understand these things that he saw, if they were really as bad as he thought they were. He didn't know this person at all, and he still just thought they still deserved to die. Get to know your fellow man.
It was aimed at every one of us. Indeed, Charlie was killed for expressing the very ideas that virtually everyone in this arena and most other places throughout our country deeply believed in. But the assassin failed in his quest because Charlie's message has not been silenced. It now is bigger and better and stronger than ever before, and it's not even close. And it's rare that such a thing happens, but Charlie is bigger today than he was, think about it, just 2 weeks ago. He's bigger today than he was 2 weeks ago. Now, that may not help his friends and loved ones, of which there are so many. It may not help Erica and those beautiful children who have to suffer so horribly through this moment, but they know it's true. He's bigger now than ever before, and
you killed the man, but you didn't kill the idea.
He's eternal. He's eternal. And I just want to say we love him. And he's looking down at us right now, and he's saying, wow, that's a great crowd. He's saying, that's a great crowd.
It's still sad that it took Kirk dying to unite the Republicans again. I feel like Elon Musk, after he split off, Republicans lost a lot of momentum, and rightfully so, because Trump's talking about all these beautiful tax cuts, and then he has the big, beautiful bill, which is adding so much more debt to America. It is fucking crazy.
And it's a great crowd of patriots. But that's why I will soon award Charlie the nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It's the highest civilian honor. And we will do the ceremony at our beautiful White House in a very safe Washington, D.C., a place that Charlie truly revered. You know, we stopped the crime in Washington. Took 12 days. Now you can go to restaurants. You can walk down the middle of the street with your wife. You can have your wife walk alone down the middle of the street. She's going to be in good shape. What a difference. What a difference.
Did you know that if you're under the age of 24 and you commit a crime, you're let off as a juvenile in D.C.? They consider you a kid at 24. That's why crime was so bad in D.C., because some retarded fucking politician passed something to allow you to be considered a juvenile at 24. So when you commit a crime as a juvenile, it's basically a slap on the fucking wrist no matter what you're doing. Which is why you had these gangs that were just fucking robbing people and stealing cars and doing whatever the fuck they want, because they're not being punished. They didn't fear crime because they're basically doing what they want because the system's retarded. I didn't know that. That shit's crazy.
It's good management, it really makes, but it's. I'm so proud of that Washington, D.C. You know, it's one of the worst in the nation, in the world. And now it's considered a very safe city. And it's also, I passed it yesterday, I went through it, and the lawns are good. It's like a different place. It's like the tents are gone, the threats are gone, the gang.
I want to see how many people they arrested. I want to see the total number of arrests made due to Trump's action in D.C. That needs to be a campaign promise for Vance or something. Let them see the exact stats of how Trump has affected the crime and made it safer for people to walk in our capital, our nation's capital.
Gangs aren't there. We got rid of, we took out 1,500 career criminals. 1,500.
1,500.
If you have 3 career criminals,
Holy
that can
fuck.
make a big difference. But I'm so proud of Washington, D.C., and now we're going into Memphis, and we'll get that one straightened out fast. And then we're going into some others, but we're going to go to Chicago.
Doesn't want to warn him. Let him find out the hard way.
And we're going to have Charlie very much in mind when we go into Chicago. And we'll get that one straightened out. You have it in common.
That's probably why they're doing the ICE protests right now in Chicago. They're trying to stir up hatred and tension in Chicago is my best bet. I say they, leftists and Democrats. They're trying to stir up the tension in Chicago to make it to when the National Guard shows up that people start trying to assault the National Guard. That is my best guess.
Competent governor who he thinks it's okay when 11 people get murdered over the weekend. He thinks you don't have any crime when 11 people get murdered.
Jesus Christ.
And 28 people get shot. He says he's got crime. No, they don't have it under control, but we'll have it.
So Trump's using Charlie Kirk's memorial to talk about how he's going to fix crime in Charlie's honor. I'm fine with this.
Under control very quickly, so we're going to be doing that. And Charlie loved what we were doing. He was so proud of what happened. He was there to see it. He's so proud of what happened in Washington, D.C. As you know, the depraved assassin who planned and executed Charlie's killing has been arrested and charged with capital murder. God willing, he will receive.
There's some statistic that's going around right now, and apparently only 11% of Democrats know the shooter was a radical leftist. Only 11%. The majority of them, it's like 40%, think that he was a Republican. That is the misinformation, and that is the propaganda the news networks have been stressing so hard by purposely omitting facts of the story to spread. That is propaganda. Dude has a furry transgender boyfriend. Oh, what the fuck are we talking about?
The full and ultimate punishment for his horrific crime. It's a terrible thing. Because you can't let that happen. You can't let that happen. Can't let it happen to a country. The Department of Justice is also investigating networks of radical left maniacs who fund, organize, fuel, and perpetrate political violence. And we think we know who many of them are. But law enforcement can only be the beginning of our response to Charlie's murder.
We need more. And Kash Patel's already talked about discrediting conspiracy theories online of there being a shooter from below the floor, of there being a dude making FBI signals next to Kirk, of there being some shooter on the stairwell because they're saying the angle's impossible. They're trying to say Tyler Robertson's a fall guy, basically. Like, he didn't do any of this. All the messages are fake. All the evidence is planted. Bunch of shit like that. And Kash Patel just straight up put on Twitter, is like, we are investigating all of these conspiracies, extremely serious, and we will be completely transparent, which is the right way to do it. Considering Cash has farmed some L's, he needs some W's to kind of even out his playbook.
Over the last 11 days, we have heard stories of commentators, influencers, and others in our society who greeted his assassination with sick approval, excuses, or even jubilation. You've heard that, so.
Yeah, this is to Hassan Piker and Destiny. They're both getting fucked. Destiny's already completely fucked. He's been demonetized on YouTube. Hassan's probably next. My best guess is congressional hearing, or Twitch is going to be banning Hassan really soon, or Clancy stepping down. I think Tectone put a tweet out that Clancy gets steps down in the next 3 months, because this congressional hearing is going to bend Twitch over backwards, because they have openly been protecting Hassan because of his politics, and Hassan was fucking stupid enough to have a clip of him saying that too, that the reason Twitch likes him and protects him is because of his politics. Like, how fucking retarded could Hassan be to where he's giving Congress so much ammunition to completely destroy Twitch? And at this point, Twitch deserves to fail.
I couldn't believe it. Some of the very same people who spent the last 8 years trying to sit in moral judgment of anyone who disagreed with them about politics suddenly started cheering for a murder. Incredible. You know the names. They're major losers, by the way. That will be proven out in a short period of time. Some of the very people who call you a hater for using the wrong pronoun were filled with glee at the killing of a father with two.
Yeah, the pronoun crew is the first ones cheering. Every time you check their bio on Blue Sky, there's 20 different mental disabilities, and there's 20 different flags in their name, and their pronouns are almost always there. It's a cult that requires you to signal you're in the cult, and that's how they signal to others that they're in the cult. It's all the pronouns, it's all the flags, it's all the mental disabilities. That is how they do it. That is the MO.
Beautiful young children. And the same commentators who this week are screaming fascism over a canceled late-night TV show where the anchor had no talent and no ratings, last week were implying that Charlie Kirk deserved what happened to him.
This is the major talking point. I'm glad other people are realizing it too. The people that are screaming fascism over Jimmy Kimmel being fired by Disney because he spread propaganda didn't give a fuck about Kirk dying. They didn't think it was fascist that the leftist, radical leftists assassinated someone engaging in good faith, open debate arguments in the marketplace of free ideas. That is Gestapo tactics. That is what they do. It's political intimidation 101, and that is what they have been doing. They don't give a fuck about anything that happens to you on the right wing. The moment someone is stopped from spreading propaganda by a private company, they're screaming at the top of their lungs. They don't give a fuck about anything. They have no real values. There's no consistency. It's all for show. They're doing everything they can to get a win in their book, and they'll use any tactic they can to get that.
No side in American politics has a monopoly on disturbed or misguided people, but there's one part of our political community which believes they have a monopoly on truth, goodness, and virtue, and concludes they have also.
True. The leftists are the only ones. You need to feel full empathy for everything they say, and they're not going to feel a single fucking shred of empathy for you. Lana Reichley, right? Wasn't she the girl that got brutally raped and then killed by an illegal immigrant? There was the one dude I talked about a few videos ago where he got arrested for a DUI in a sanctuary city. They let him go, and then he brutally murdered a 19-year-old, and he had deportation orders that were being ignored. Like, you have shit like that. There's no empathy for the dead women that are directly being violated and are direct victims of their dog shit sanctuary city policies and their soft on crime policies. Same with the woman on the subway. 14 times convicted criminal allowed to go back on open probation, or allowed to go back on the street because there's a no cash bail. Basically, he didn't have to pay anything to bail out. These are Democrats. This is their doing. They are directly responsible.
A monopoly on power, thought, and speech. Well, that's not happening anymore. We've turned that corner very quickly. Tragically, atrocities of this kind, and kind that we saw in Utah, of all places, are the eventual consequence of that kind of thinking. If speech is violence, then some are bound to conclude that violence is justified to stop speech. And we're not going to let that be justified. The tradition of reason.
Good. Fucking good. Start arresting these people that are calling for death, that are making death threats. Fucking let me see the arrests. Let me see the federal charges for political intimidation, political violence. I don't really know. I want to see the federal charges, though. Right now, I'm hearing a lot of talk from Trump. I want to see some fucking action.
An open debate that Charlie practiced is not a pillar of our democracy. In many ways, it's the basis of our entire society.
The foundation to being able to openly engage anyone in the free marketplace of ideas. It is the founding of Western democracy. When that fails, nothing matters. The society is collapsing. It is a red fucking flag.
It's the right and inheritance of every free American, the greatest legacy of the Enlightenment, and among the...
And I've talked about this in a previous video. You are always free to participate in the marketplace of ideas in an open debate outside. And yes, I've seen people say, well, you'll get banned on Twitter, you'll get banned on YouTube, you'll be censored by the algorithm. Those are companies, those are private companies. Their only goal is to make money. Being able to communicate with others on a private company is a byproduct of making money. And they will change and censor you at a moment's notice if they think their money's in trouble. You should always never have any fear to go outside and say what you want to say. It can be as retarded as you want. You should have no fear. Yes, it can be crass. Yes, it can be hateful, but you should have no fear. Unless you're openly calling for people to be murdered. You should be able to say whatever you want outside. If you want to be judged for it, that's also going to happen. Or you're also going to be judged for it, but you should expect that. If you're saying like maybe Hitler wasn't such a bad guy, you should expect some judgment. If you say that on social media and you get banned, you should expect that as well. But you should always be able to go outside and talk about your ideas with others. That is what the First Amendment stands for.
The most treasured achievements of civilization. We will defend it at all costs, and we will carry forward the torch of liberty that Charlie Kirk held so proud and so high. He was so proud, and he did hold that torch high. We will never, ever let it fail. We will never let it fail. But we're going to raise it higher than ever before. It's going to be raised, and this is the beginning. Perhaps it should be no surprise that Charlie, who spent his life speaking with the critics of these traditions, ultimately became convinced that we needed not just a political realignment, but also a spiritual reawakening. We did.
We've had a political realignment. Republicans have shifted more toward the center to more moderates now than they were 20 years ago. I talked about this previously. I misspoke and said 10. Republicans have shifted incredibly, and that's how it should be. Their ideas were archaic. They believed gay people couldn't get married. Like, who cares? Who cares what you're doing in your bedroom as long as it's between consenting adults? You shouldn't have boys in the girls' locker room. That's common sense. And I will never, ever back down on that. You should not. You are opening it to a can of worms to where you disrespect women and you don't respect them as human beings. What the fuck is going on in America where you have a political party that thinks a boy can be a girl and now we should make them go into the girls' locker rooms because they said so? What the fuck?
And we have to bring back religion to America, because without borders, law and order, and religion, you really don't have a country anymore. We want...
I feel like religion is good. I feel like they can go too far, but I feel like religion for society is good overall.
Religion brought back to America. We want to bring God back into our beautiful USA like never before. We want...
Religion teaches morals and ethics to a society of which could be otherwise savages. Not saying that's modern day America, but if you had more religious people, we'd probably have less problems. Now, I'm not talking about the radical religious that you can't hold a woman's hand till you're married, or you can't have gay people allowed at all to be anywhere in society because it's against some part of the Bible. I'm not talking about that type of extremism in religion. I'm talking about generic, basic religion.
God back. Charlie would have been so pleased to hear his friends and colleagues today giving testimony and giving glory to God. Within minutes of the gunshot in Utah, millions of Americans, young and old, heard the news and dropped to their knees and started praying. Even many who rarely prayed asked God for a miracle. Please, God, save Charlie.
I think Tectone put on Twitter that he went to church for the first time in 20 years after the Charlie Kirk shit. That, like, I need people to understand. If you do not understand the importance, I need people to understand you don't understand the importance. I need people to understand this Charlie Kirk being assassinated. It's eye-opening for a lot of people that the left isn't just a political party, that there are literal demons that they have among their people that they aren't getting rid of, and they're allowing to fester. They're allowing the hatred to rise. They don't say anything to quell them. They allow it to fully go on. People die, and they make a statement saying political violence is bad, and they completely ignore their entire side cheering. They're doing it intentionally. That's their voter base, and they don't want to lose them.
But although Charlie's time with us...
To normal people, that's an eye-opening moment, that this is not normal, that these leftists, that these Democrats that are allowing this to go on are the problem.
On earth has ended. Those prayers for a miracle have already been answered. Look at what's happening. Look at what's happening. In the days since Charlie's death, we have seen how his legacy has touched so many millions around the world. In Calgary, Canada, thousands gathered at City Hall to sing the American national anthem and raise up posters with the name Charlie Kirk. In Seoul, South Korea, crowds gathered to wave American flags and shout, "We are for Charlie Kirk." His memory has been honored in the streets of Berlin, Warsaw, Vienna, Sydney, Madrid, London, Tel Aviv, and all over the world. So beautiful to watch. A man as far away as rural Australia texted a pastor, "I'm going to come to church tomorrow for the first time ever." The pastor asked, "Why is that?" The man replied, "Because of Charlie Kirk." Can you imagine? The lesson of Charlie's life is that you should never underestimate what one person can do with a good heart, a righteous cause, a cheerful spirit, and the will to fight, fight, fight. Have to fight. We're saving our country. And Charlie's a big factor, such a big factor. Charlie Kirk started with only...
The left will take that fight, fight, fight as a direct call to violence, and Trump not turning down the rhetoric, by the way.
...idea to change minds on college campuses, and instead he ended up with a far greater achievement, changing history. He changed history. Today, Charlie Kirk rests in glory in heaven for all eternity. He has gone from speaking on campuses in Wisconsin to kneeling at the throne of God, where he is right now. We grieve for the friend and leader that we have lost, but we go forward strengthened by his faith and bolstered by his courage and inspired by his example to defend the country he lived for
Trump's definitely back on the teleprompter now.
The freedoms he died for and the values in which he so deeply believed. He believed in values that we should all believe
Now
in.
he's off.
Charlie created something very special. It's called Turning Point USA. And under the leadership and love of Erica, it will become bigger and better and stronger.
Damn, they got bulletproof glass on all sides. They're not fucking around with this shit, and they shouldn't be either.
Than ever before.
I could see the reflection on the pane, and I just thought it was behind him. I didn't know it was in front of him.
So, Charlie, we all want to thank you. We want to say a very loud God bless you, Charlie. God bless you for what you've done is incredible. And God bless Erica and the children. God bless the United States of America. And could I ask Erica, please come out. Erica, please come out. Thank you.
That's got to be so sad. To be on the stage knowing that this is all the people your husband inspired and he's no longer there, that's heart-wrenching. I think America has the momentum to make some really good changes that society desperately needs at the moment, and that's what I want. R.I.P. Charlie Kirk. Gone but not forgotten. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. If you liked the video, feel free to like it, comment down below, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, later.